My name is Sapphire and I'm a smoker. Like so many other smokers, I wake up, I smoke. I shower, I smoke. I work, I eat, I drink, I smoke. I want to find out why we need to smoke in all these cases, and if it's possible to reprogram our brain to become non-smokers. I'm meeting with some of the leading experts in the field of behavioural change to guide me on this journey. In my search for finding out why we enjoy poisonous smoke, I quickly run into Pavlov's famous dog study known as classical conditioning. In the 1890s, Ivan Pavlov rang a bell while feeding a dog, and then rang a bell while not feeding the dog, and boom, the dog produced saliva and behaviourism was born.
Most people start smoking in imitation of a hero, or because they think that it makes them look important.
Since then, used with great success in advertising, one way of kicking the habit could be to change the conditioning of cigarettes. A treatment called aversion therapy was used, which made people chain smoke whilst giving them electric shocks. Today, it's impossible to find aversion therapists. Nowadays, it's all about CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, which in short terms means finding the triggers, reflect on how they make you feel, and then change it.
When you smoke, you inhale nicotine that gets into your bloodstream, and within a matter of seconds, the nicotine hits your brain. And after it's done that, the nicotine actually triggers the release of a host of different neurotransmitters, among others dopamine, which people might know as the reward neurotransmitter. So CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, is actually one way of reprogramming your brain. This means that CBT can help us to view yourself differently, not as a smoker, but as a non-smoker.
In the first trip of my journey, I've decided to travel to Wales to meet someone who has been able to help a lot of people quit cigarettes.
Rory, how are you doing?
Hey, Sapphire, Croeso I Cymru, welcome to Wales.
Thank you very much, I've never been here before.
Come on, we're parked over here,
Yeah.
Let's go and get going.
Rory Coleman used to be a heavy smoker. Today, he is one of Great Britain's most prolific ultramarathon runners with over 1,000 completed marathons and 8 entries into the Guinness Book of World Records. As a lifestyle coach, Rory is using his personal experiences combined with CBT methods to help other people make significant changes to their lives.
Every day you wake up with like a blank sheet of paper. That's the beauty of life.
Yeah, it's true.
Every day you wake up, you just go, right, I can actually change me. I wanted to do something today that was just to take you out of your normal environment and take you up a mountain.
Right.
As you do. But it's not any mountain, it's the mountain in South Wales that the SAS train on.
Really?
Yeah, all right, so let's jump in the car and go.
Wicked. Socially, I enjoy cigarettes. I use cigarettes as some kind of reward system. So what I tend to do is, if it's the weekend, I'll get up, I'll eat breakfast, I'll have a shower, I'll have a cigarette.
Yep.
I'll have a coffee, I'll get ready to do some work. But before I start work, I'll have a cigarette.
Do you think also the cigarette is like a full stop at the end of a sentence?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, let's go and climb that mountain.
So using physical activity and also going on a physical escape is a way of avoiding the triggers that would normally signal to you that now you need your nicotine.
The hardest bit about quitting smoking is deciding that it's time to stop.
How long do you think it takes before you really start to feel like you're kicking the habit? Is it a few weeks where...
66 days.
66 days.
The most dangerous time
Yeah.
is 6 weeks.
Right, okay.
So,
Do you know why that is, or is there any...
well, what the research says is that after 6 weeks,
Yeah.
you think you've cracked it.
Yeah.
So I'll just have a crafty cigarette.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I can just pick it up and put it down now.
At first, I didn't understand why we were climbing a mountain, but the closer we got to the top, I realised that this was about escaping habits and turning your attention towards healthy achievements.
There you go, on top of the world. How cool is that? Well done. 873 metres, look at that. Wow. Beautiful. I think a lot of the time it's that craving. That craving lasts for about 3 minutes. And it's that sort of time shift in your mind that is sort of thinking, everything is just cigarette, 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 crave, crave, crave. When you think about it, smoking is a very repetitious sort of thing. It becomes habitual. And if you can do this for 66 days.
That's how long it takes to start.
Yeah. So, let's go.
We've done quite well, haven't we?
Yeah,
We've kept a good pace.
So achieving new goals is one way of dealing with cigarette cravings, but some people turn their attention inwards to quit smoking. Hypnotherapy is quite popular for getting rid of bad habits. The history of hypnosis is as ancient as that of sorcery, magic and medicine. Its scientific history began in the last part of the 18th century with Franz Mesmer, a German physician.
This man doesn't even remember his own name.
A number of clinicians made use of it without fully understanding its nature until the middle of the 19th century, when the English physician James Braid studied the phenomenon and coined the term hypnosis.
So one thing that hypnosis and CBT might have in common is the fact that they try to alter the way in which we can use cognitive control to control the impulses we might have to smoke, and to control the way we react to triggers from the environment that tells us to smoke right now.
I travelled to Clacton-on-Sea in Essex to meet Samantha, who in her fight to give up cigarettes has chosen to see a hypnotherapist.
So have you prepared for your hypnosis session?
Oh, well, I actually have.
Really?
I've actually got a diary, so
Really?
I've been told that you have to keep a diary for a week before you go to your hypnosis. Before that diary, you don't really think about smoking so much, but when you're writing a diary about smoking, it's very strange.
Wow. I'm thinking of my change on Friday, that how much my life is going to change and not smoking anymore is going to benefit me and everyone around me.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
The voice from the app that Samantha is listening to is that of Darren Marks, one of the most recommended hypnotherapists in the UK and a senior associate member of the Royal Society of Medicine.
Well, one of the best definitions of hypnosis is that it's a single-pointed focus of attention. So it's when you pay attention to one thing and you zone out everything else, that's a hypnotic state.
And why is it important to give your clients the smoke journal diary?
People come and see me for hypnosis, but actually my real job is to de-hypnotise people. In other words, we wander through life automatically reacting to things emotionally and sometimes with physical habits as well, like smoking. We don't even realise what we're doing, why we're doing it. It's just happening automatically. When you de-hypnotise yourself, you take control, you take back your power.
Just before the hypno session, I can't help but think if she's ready to completely say goodbye to cigarettes. She seems so hopeful, but is that enough?
This is it. This is my last cigarette. I'm ready.
Okay, well, let's go get some hypnosis.
Let's go.
So you're not smoking during the day at work. Is that a problem for you not to smoke at work?
No.
So to me that's really interesting because people think that smoking is an addiction, but I'd say it's much more a habit than it is a physical addiction. Because if it was really a physical addiction, you'd be struggling right through your working day. You wouldn't find it okay. To the number of cigarettes you're smoking, roughly, do you know how much?
Oh my gosh, probably just under 20.
All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. And what I mean by that is what I do is I give people instructions to think about things, to imagine things in a particular way. And if you follow those instructions, you'll go into what's termed a hypnotic trance state. And if you don't follow the instructions, then nothing happens. So make yourself comfortable. Now I'm going to play a sound in the background. Now the sound is called pink noise.
Okay.
Sounds a little bit like waves crashing. And I want you to focus your attention on the top of your head, because that's where tension begins. And allow all the little muscles and nerves in the top of your head to relax as completely as you can. And as you allow yourself to relax a little further,
Or perhaps as that feeling comes in waves, as naturally you dip in and out of relaxation, I would like to congratulate you on deciding to be a non-smoker. You have chosen life over death. Simply find yourself in a special place, perhaps somewhere that you know of. Now notice your surroundings, the colour of the sky, so it doesn't matter where you are, who you are with, or what you are doing. You simply have no wish to smoke. And maybe someone offers you a cigarette, and you find yourself saying quite automatically, without even thinking about it, "Oh, no thank you, I don't smoke." And each and every time you say those words, or anything even remotely like those words, you will feel an invigorating sense of power. So get ready now, 10 coming up slowly now. 9, each and every time you see the colour blue, whether that's blue sea, blue sky, blue walls, or anything at all that's of the colour blue, you're reminded of clear, pure, fresh air, and your decision to remain a non-smoker is reinforced. 2, eyes beginning to open, and 1. Welcome back.
Wow.
How you doing there?
Amazing.
You enjoy that?
Yeah. I literally was very relaxed. I felt like, I don't know, it was things I already know, but the way you were saying to me, and I'm understanding it in a different way. I don't know, it's really hard to explain.
Yeah, I mean, you prepared yourself really well with the diary.
I did.
And we talked about it before we started. And, you know, as you say, it's coming to that inner agreement, I think, is really important one way or another. It's been a pleasure.
There are some scientific studies indicating that hypnotherapy might be an effectual means of smoking cessation. However, there are quite large individual differences in the way in which different individuals respond to hypnosis. So not all people can be hypnotized.
It seems a bit too easy to give up a 20 fags a day habit with one hypnosis session. I think I'll need to catch up with Samantha later.
Well done. Well done. Well done, well done.
There's no quick fix to quit cigarettes. Looking at results from studies on different methods, the succession rates are usually around 20 to 30%. But one study stands out. By combining CBT and psilocybin trips, Johns Hopkins University of Medicine has shown a staggering result of 80%. Psychedelics have a long history of traditional use in medicine and religion. Throughout the 1950s, the potential therapeutic effects of psychedelics were studied in the United States and Europe.
The mental effects of LSD depend on what's called the set and the setting.
But due to the war on drugs, it has been nearly impossible to make scientific studies for several decades.
Psilocybin is a psychedelic that is found in certain mushrooms. And psilocybin stimulates the serotonin system of the brain. One of the interesting parts of the Johns Hopkins study for smoking cessation using psilocybin is that a few trips, maybe only just one, might actually aid people in stop smoking, whereas what we usually see is that it takes hours and hours of therapy to actually quit smoking.
I decided to visit Amanda Fielding, who provided the initial funding for the study, also known as the Duchess of Psychedelic Science. Due to people like Amanda, science is now paving the way for psychedelics.
So this is the second note,
Yeah.
and that's the third note.
Yeah.
And why did they have so many? Like,
Protection.
one was protection,
Yeah.
2 was food, and the third was, I think, showing off, having an extra Rolls Royce.
So did psychedelics help you to quit smoking?
I gave up smoking on LSD.
Yeah.
Just because it just makes you able to follow through your intention in a different way.
Yeah.
So I suggested we did a overcoming nicotine study, and that's what we did. The study, which had about 15 people, had amazing efficacy.
Yeah.
It was kind of 80% success, which in nicotine is, because actually nicotine is one of the most difficult habits to give up.
So in a nutshell, taking mushrooms can help quit smoking?
Yeah, that's a nutshell. You know, and that's a nutshell one wants to give to the world. Do you know, I have meetings up here. This is another interesting brain image.
Do you want to describe what's happening in the brain at these stages?
Yeah. Now, that's the brain on placebo, or how it is every day, ordinary brain. The red and orange are the lit up areas of activity.
Right.
So this rather beautiful image showed this is the brain on LSD. It's a state of the brain which is much more malleable. It's like hot metal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It becomes more flexible.
Yeah.
So we found that people can, in some rather miraculous way, reform their setting so it's more positive and it's overcome some of the troubles.
Yeah.
I travelled to the Netherlands because this is one of the very few countries that allows truffles containing psilocybin. I'm here to meet with Connor, who has been smoking cigarettes for 10 years and has been struggling to quit.
It's so bad.
Is this your ritual after a flight?
Yeah, as soon as I get like land, it's like, I don't know why. I think when you're told that you can't smoke, you want it more.
Now he's going to give it another try with a 3-day psilocybin retreat. We drive to the outskirts of Amsterdam to an old church that today has been modified both physically and spiritually.
Hi, you're right. Sapphire. Dan, nice to meet you.
This is amazing.
This is Connor.
Hi, Connor. Nice to meet you. I'm Connor.
Pleasure to meet you.
While Connor gets ready for the session, I talk to Dan about the small study and its big potential.
Let's say research, we fast forward 10 years and research now includes much more people. I don't think we'll find the same incredible numbers like 70 to 80%, maybe a bit less, but even if it were 50 or 60% succession rate, that is incredible. That's going to radically shift how we could treat addiction.
Not everyone reacts the same to psilocybin, and it's very important to keep in mind that there are certain factors that need to be taken care of. So when you go into a psilocybin trip, your mindset needs to be the right one. And the setting in which you take the psilocybin also needs to be the correct one. And that, for example, entails being in a therapeutic setting where you're guided through your trip.
Welcome at our flight instructions. With lack of a better metaphor, we consider us the steward and stewardess in the plane. We're not here to take you by the hand and say, okay, we're gonna do this, this, and this. Rather, we sit with you as you are traveling.
Do you have any kind of like tips, either of you, to like keep on like a positive tangent sort of thing, so to stop yourself from slipping into any kind of dark place that you don't want to be
I would
in?
highly recommend you to completely let go into the experience.
Yeah.
And if it's showing you more darker things, allow that. What you resist persists. So if you're very much like, I don't want to cry, I don't want to think about this thing, then that becomes much more challenging than actually allowing the experience to naturally go there.
The day begins with a silent walk in the snow as a mental preparation before the trip.
Have a very safe journey.
When you take psilocybin, you might experience being more open, you might experience being calm, and some people actually call it a very profound experience of being at one with the universe. Not everyone experiences the same during a psilocybin trip, but a lot of people report this kind of mystical experience.
For Connor to emerge completely in the experience, the camera crew and I left the room. The following day I return. I've heard that Conor took a high dose and his trip lasted for more than 6 hours. I meet him in his room to hear how he feels.
I feel like I'm me, but just with more experience.
So what, do you see things?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what I saw though.
So what is it, do you think, about taking the truffles that actually helps you quit smoking? Because when you're experiencing the trip, it's not something tangible.
I think in the grand scheme of things, it gives you a clearer viewpoint of like why you should clean up your life. I didn't have any cravings last night, which obviously normally like it's before bed that I have the strongest cravings for a cigarette, and nothing. It kind of just made me realise that instead of using like nicotine or like smoking a cigarette or having a glass of wine or anything to combat stress, just like take a chill, sit down, breathe, and that's it.
If we take the Johns Hopkins study as our starting point, we might actually have rather high hopes for Conor's smoking cessation. However, there might be individual differences that affect him in the sense that he might not be able to experience that kind of trip that underlies a positive smoking cessation afterwards.
The people who kind of score highest on the mystical experience are the ones on the whole who have the highest efficacy at overcoming their depression or addiction or whatever it is.
How do you see psychedelics working in the future?
I think they offer a win-win situation. We could quite easily be offering these treatments to millions of people. I mean, our only limitation would be training the therapists.
How's it going?
So when we spoke last, I told you that I had a little bit of tobacco left, remember? So I finished that tobacco and I decided not to buy any more tobacco after that.
Cool.
But I've still been smoking, but just not my own cigarettes. How is your non-smoking adventure going?
Well, I have been smoking. A lot of things have happened. So, yeah, I sort of failed on that aspect. I am disappointed in myself. I feel like I know I can do it like how I had the inspiration before. So that's why I'm going to be in contact with Darren, because he's very supportive to me.
So what's going on? What's changed? What's new?
Everything, like literally everything.
And what about the smoking? Are you still smoking?
So, do you remember when we were outside the airport and I had that cigarette with you in the smoking area? That was the last cigarette I've had.
Are you being serious?
I'm being serious. I think it should be said as well that like it's not something that you should really do if you've got like a history of like mental illness and stuff, because some people's brains just aren't meant for chemical imbalances, you know.
Definitely. Is there anything else that's changed?
I had like a really irrational fear of spiders. Since coming back, I've seen a few spiders and I'm not scared at all. It's really bizarre.
That's insane.
I know, it's mad.
All right, Conor, well, it was really nice to speak to you again, and I'm so happy that you've been able to create these changes in your life, from not being afraid of spiders to not smoking.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you, and hopefully
you too.
I'll see you again in London sometime.
Definitely.
And not have a cigarette.